I never expected it. One moment, I was just going through my day. The next, I saw her smile, and my brain completely rewired itself. I didn't even know her name back then, but somehow she stayed, in my thoughts, in my daydreams. In the corners of every song I listened to. You'd think having a crush is just a sweet, harmless feeling. But when I started noticing how it affected the way I acted, thought, even slept, I knew something deeper was going on. So I did what I always do when I feel emotionally out of control. I dove into the psychology behind it, and what I found changed how I see myself and how I see what we call falling for someone. Today, I'm going to walk you through 17 strange but powerful psychological truths about having a crush, all through my own messy, real, very human story. Let's begin. At first, I thought it was just attraction. You know, the usual butterflies, nervous texts, overanalyzing her every word like it was some secret code written just for me. But then, something weird happened. I realized I didn't actually know her. Not really. What I was obsessed with wasn't her as a person. It was the version of her that existed only in my head. The perfect version, kind, funny, mysterious, who totally got me even though we barely spoke. That version, I made him up, or maybe my brain did it for me. Psychologists call this idealization. And the more I learned, the more I realized I wasn't in love with a person. I was in love with a possibility. And once your brain gets hooked on a possibility, it fights like hell to keep you there. This wasn't just a harmless little crush. This was fantasy, chemicals, fear, and something much deeper than I had ever expected. So I started paying attention to the way my brain lit up when I saw her name, to the way I avoided talking to her just so I wouldn't risk ruining the dream. And that's when I knew this isn't just about liking someone. It's about how we create someone to like inside our own minds. One, we're more likely to be attracted to people we can't have. The truth, she was never available, emotionally, socially, whatever. And maybe that's why my feelings got stronger, because my brain started fantasizing about the what if. This is what psychology calls the default mode network. It activates when you imagine scenarios that don't exist. And that fantasy, it made me feel safe. No risk, no rejection, just dopamine on demand. 2. I was terrified of rejection. Even when I had the chance to talk to her, I froze. I'd rather keep the dream alive in my head than risk it crashing in real life. Psychologists say we often nurture the possibility of love instead of facing the reality. Turns out imaginary relationships can feel safer than real ones. 3. I idealized her like a lot. Looking back, she was just a normal person, but I saw her as flawless. Everything she said sounded wise. Every gesture looked elegant, but that's idealization, when your brain filters out flaws and exaggerates their best parts. I wasn't seeing her, I was seeing who I wanted her to be. 4. I started seeing her name everywhere. On billboards, in books, even in songs. Psychologists call this the Baader-Meinhof phenomenon, where once something becomes important to you, you notice it constantly. My brain was biased. It made the whole world about her. 5. My background and personality shaped who I crushed on. She had this calm energy, and growing up in chaos, I think I subconsciously sought out that peace. Studies show our upbringing and unmet emotional needs influence who we're attracted to and why. 6. I lowered my voice when I talked to her. Yes, really, I even checked old voice notes. My tone was deeper, slower. Apparently, men do this as an unconscious way to appear more masculine and confident. 7. I was drawn to her voice too. There was something about it soft but strong. Psychologists say women tend to prefer deeper male voices, and men respond to calming, melodic tones. It's primal. I didn't even notice I was doing it. 8. I mirrored her behavior. When she laughed, I laughed. When she leaned forward, so did I. It's called mimicry, and it's a powerful sign of attraction. We copy people we're drawn to sometimes without even realizing it. 9. Crushes usually last about 4 months. Mine, way longer. Psychologists say that if your feelings go beyond 4 months, it might be something deeper, attachment, not just infatuation. And honestly, I was there. Still thinking about her after 6 months, still stuck in that space between dream and reality. 10. People become more attractive when others desire them. I wasn't the only one crushing on her. That weirdly made her even more magnetic. It's called social proof, the idea that when someone is desired by others, our brain ranks them higher too. 11. I remembered my dreams more clearly. She'd show up in them, not in romantic ways, but just there. My brain was emotionally heightened, and that made me more sensitive, more alert, even in sleep. Turns out, crushes can improve memory and dream recall. 12. The butterflies were actually anxiety, that fluttering in my stomach. Not romance, it was stress. Adrenaline preparing me for a situation I wasn't emotionally equipped for. Love can feel a lot like fear, especially when it's uncertain. 13. The more I tried not to miss her, the more I did. I'd tell myself I'm over it, but my brain didn't buy it. Psychological resistance kicked in. The more I tried to suppress thoughts of her, the stronger they became. It was exhausting. 14. I had so many imaginary conversations. In the shower, before bed, while walking alone, I practiced what I'd say, how she'd smile, how I'd respond. This is called social rehearsal, your brain simulating interactions to prepare you emotionally, honestly. It helped me feel closer to her, even though it wasn't real. 15. I noticed girls playing with their hair around guys they liked, including her. And yeah, once I think she did that while talking to me. It could have been coincidence. But psychology says it's often a subconscious flirtation cue, a way of drawing attention or self-soothing when nervous. 16. Talking to her made me feel stronger. It wasn't just attraction. It was how I felt about myself when I was around her. I became more articulate, more intentional. Psychologists say that regular interactions with your crush can build confidence and emotional intelligence. In a way, she made me better. 17. Sometimes I couldn't stop thinking about her, like to the point it affected my focus. That's when I learned about limerence, the obsessive phase of a crush where your brain becomes addicted to the idea of them. I wasn't choosing to think about her. My brain was chasing dopamine, and it wasn't healthy anymore. That's when I had to pause, to ask myself, is this feeling still serving me, or am I just stuck inside my own mind? I used to think that crushing on someone was all about them, how amazing they are, how perfect they seem. But after everything I've felt and everything I've learned, I realized something. Crushing on someone is actually about me. About what I'm longing for, what I'm afraid of, what I hope love could feel like without ever risking the real thing. So instead of falling deeper into my fantasies, I started doing a few things that helped me stay grounded. First, I wrote everything down, every thought, every what if. Every dream, not to obsess more, but to process, to make space between my feelings and reality, to see my emotions on paper and realize they didn't control me. Second, I stopped romanticizing silence. I used to think, maybe she's thinking about me too. But sometimes she just wasn't, and that was okay. I learned not to assign meaning to her silence. Not every unanswered message is a mystery. Sometimes it's just quiet. Third, I ask myself real questions. Would I still want her if I really knew her? With flaws, with disagreements, with boring weekends and messy moods? Or was I just hooked on the version I built in my imagination? Fourth, I brought the focus back to myself. What did she make me feel, and how could I create that for myself? Confidence, curiosity, hope. I started dressing better. I started learning new things. I showed up for myself, not to win her attention, but to reclaim mine. Fifth, I forgave myself for feeling too much. There were moments I called myself pathetic. Moments I felt embarrassed for caring, but I stopped doing that because feeling deeply isn't weakness. It's awareness. It's aliveness. It's proof that something in me still believes in love, even if it hasn't arrived yet. So if you're in the middle of a crush right now, just like I was, know this: you are not crazy, you are not alone, you are simply human, and that is more than enough. H letter 1 ECF I chat GPT. I don't regret having that crush, not even for a second. It taught me more about myself than any relationship ever has. It showed me how deeply I can feel, how my brain protects me, how my heart still hopes even when I'm scared. Crushing is not weakness. It's proof that you're alive, that you still believe in connection, that some part of you is brave enough to long for something more. So don't beat yourself up. Don't rush to turn off your feelings. Instead, be curious, be kind to yourself, and if the time ever feels right, take the risk, because maybe, just maybe, they're waiting for you too. And hey, if you're wondering whether your crush might be feeling the same way, you should probably check out this next video.